Good morning. How are you today? So, happy Sunday. This is our Sunday chat. It is the day. Welcome to it. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen the sun in a few days and I'm starting to get a little antsy. So Sunday, I'm hoping will be its true namesake. Meanwhile, I hope you're doing well. And if you're not, I hope you find what you need to start doing well. I really do. I just smudged before I started with some Palo Santo wood today. It smells really good in here. But I want to talk to you because I've been seeing a lot of people being really encouraging, which is great and beautiful and wonderful, and they say things like, don't give up, or stick with it, great things take time, and then of course you've got, just do it from Nike, and there's a lot of messages out in the world right now that tell us if we give up on something, there's something wrong with us, that giving up is not a good option. In fact, if you look it up in like psychology textbooks or psychiatry textbooks, they tell you that giving up is considered a self-destructive or destructive coping mechanism. I call bullshit. I fully disagree. Giving up regularly and on the, as a, a tendency, as something you do to cope with stress, yeah, okay, fair enough. That's something that needs to be looked at differently. But there are times when I fully believe giving up on something, walking away, saying enough is actually excellent self-care. How do you know the difference? Well, it all comes down to awareness, right? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? And in fact, I think that for some of us, giving up is a skill that we need to learn before we dig in so deep that we end up damaging ourselves, right? Our relationships, our finances, our careers. I've stuck with things far, far too long because I've invested in them already. I've spent time on them. And we're talking careers, relationships, and I didn't find anything in those things except stress, toxicity. It wasn't a good space to be in, and yet because of this belief that giving up equals failure, I stuck with it. I climbed that mountain, I fell off those cliffs, and I got back up, and I climbed up again only to fall off the same frickin' cliff over and over again. And it wasn't because I wasn't working as hard as I could, or I didn't know better. I couldn't give up. You can't be a failure, right? You don't want failure. Failure's bad. Well, that's a different topic altogether. Failure's not always bad either. But giving up does not equal failure. Can we just start with that? Those are not the same things at all. Sometimes we need to give up because it's not what we want. We've discovered something new or a different direction to take, or we've gotten so far in and we realize this is not what we expected or signed up for at all. So there's this whole concept of locus of control. And what that means is, when I explain it to kids, I always tell them locus of control is very simple. It just means who you think is the boss of your life. You, which is an internal locus of control, where you believe that what you do affects your life. It affects the outcomes in your life, which I hope is where you're headed, if you're not already there, for most things anyway. An external locus of control is where your belief is that the world does stuff to you and you haven't got a lot to say about it. Most of us have both. We really do, depending on the circumstance. And most of us kind of are more somewhere in the middle, but we do have a tendency to lean towards one side, right? And an extreme example of an external locus of control would be someone who has developed learned helplessness, where they truly believe nothing they do is going to matter anyway. Shit's just rolling downhill, and so why bother trying? And people with learned helplessness are actually really good at getting other people to do things for them. So, they've got some skills, which is a good thing, but it's not a good thing to have this learned helplessness, because what ends up happening is you get depressed and stressed and you don't know how to fix your life. And I use fix very loosely, right, as more of a terminology than an actual thing that needs to happen. So it's not always good to pursue your dreams at all costs. It's important, extremely important, to sit down and evaluate if whatever it is you're doing, be it a career, starting your own business, changing locations, a relationship, if those things are serving you, are serving your bigger purpose in life, your big why, if they're toxic to your health, to your mental health, physical health, any of your well-beings, and if, especially in a relationship, if the other person is willing to work with you on fixing things and adjusting things so that they get better. If they're not, why are you continuing to beat yourself up and beat your head against a brick wall? Giving up is not failure. It's a choice. And when you're making a well-informed choice, nothing is wrong with you. It's the exact opposite. You are taking excellent care of yourself. Have you seen how I did that? I came around full circle. So yeah, sometimes self-care really is giving up, letting it go, walking away. No, thank you. I'm done with this. And one thing that I've noticed, a lot of people in my coaching groups, they talk about this when we start talking about giving up and failure. And there's this thought, and I think it comes more when we get older, but there's this thought that I've already invested so much time, so much energy, maybe even so much learning and so much money into something that there's no point in changing it now. And this is a huge one when it comes to careers and jobs for people. Are you feeling me? Yeah, it's, I've been at this job for 20 years, or I went to university for 5 years and got this degree and spent all this money, and so now I'm stuck. I have to do this thing. I have to be a teacher or an engineer or whatever it is. And you think, well, I've already invested so much, there's no point in changing now. And people think this about relationships, and it kind of goes over to other different things too. Hey, Phoenix, how you doing, sweetie? But the fact is, so what? You've learned what you need to learn. You've gotten what you need to get out of it. Move on. I know there are people who, when I started talking about becoming a life coach, taking classes, getting certified, taking psychology classes, and they were like, why would you do this? You're an established teacher. You have multiple degrees. You have multiple certifications. You have, a secure job. You have, you're building your retirement fund. You're getting seniority. I mean, why would you do this? Well, because I've gotten all I can from it, and I don't find it fulfilling the way I used to. And I've discovered something new. And I really believe that my teaching informed the next level of my evolution. I really do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Why can't it be a stepping stone? It is not wasted information. It has never been wasted education. You cannot waste it. You cannot learn anything and waste your time, ever. I truly believe that. It will do something for you somewhere, even if it just expands your mind and how the world is. But I didn't give up on teaching. I didn't walk away from it. I thought of it differently, as a stepping stone, as an experience. Life is short, but it's also very long. And I'm not willing to spend 40 years in a job that isn't fulfilling me when I am feeling called to something else. I mean, I think I was pretty smart about it, the way I went about it. I didn't just go, yeah, time's up on teaching, bye. I easing my way out of those things. But we do that with relationships too, and you can give me a hands up on this one if you've done it, where you have stayed in a relationship way, way, way beyond its expiration date because you've already put the time in, you're already in it, you feel obligated, and you want to be loyal, right? And what's wrong with you? There are people who get married simply because they can't find a good reason not to, not because they want to. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes giving up on something doesn't equal failure. In fact, most of the time, it doesn't equal failure. Sometimes giving up on stuff that isn't serving you, isn't good for you, isn't what you want anymore, is actually a really healthy thing to do. And we need to sort of get over this whole never give up, just do it, keep going. It's, great things take time, and that's true for some things. They absolutely are. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, absolutely, but they had an end goal in mind. And do you think that their final product was exactly what they started off thinking? Probably not. They adjusted. They gave up on certain types of corners or buildings, or, you know what I mean? Like, things change. You either change with them or you stay stuck. And sometimes giving up is the way to get out of being stuck. And that, my friends, is our Sunday chat for today. But I would love to hear from you. When have you stuck with it only to eventually fall apart or get burned out or spend way too much time and energy and of yourself when you should have given up much earlier? I would like to hear that, because I think it's important we talk about this. This new awareness that the world is coming to it's got a lot of good stuff in it, but it can be taken to the extreme. So yeah, don't give up on yourself. On yourself, never give up. Give up on maybe things that aren't serving you. Let them go. Give up on people who are toxic. Let them go. Make space. Make space for the things that are going to fulfill you, make you happy, make you content, right? Fill you up. That today is my Sunday chat. I hope it served you. Please let me know how it went for you, and I will talk to you all really soon. Mwah. Have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday.